This week's episode is brought to you by getting distracted. Ooh, a penny! Hey everybody, welcome to Nexus at Night. It's time for Deja Vu. Hey everybody, welcome to Nexus at Night. I'm Atlas.
I'm Matt.
I'm Root Beer.
And today we are talking about front triggers.
Yo, hear those things are good now.
I said Deja Vu. But first, I wanted to...
Have you been to this place before?
Yeah, pretty much. I wanted to...
You wouldn't get that joke.
I got it. I got the joke.
If they don't get it, they should. And there's not enough Eurobeat in this episode.
And if they don't get it, they should. Okay, so first I wanted to have a little addendum to our last week's episode where we talked about Italy's meta as they are currently in Legion format. We had a few people reach out to us, and in the YouTube comments of the episode, somebody replied, "We have Genesis, but it came out 2 weeks ago and it never topped." Okay. And then the guy under him goes, "We have Genesis, but we just don't have the brain to play it." So that's pretty whatever.
Okay.
The better part, though, was on Twitter. So this is from @Namshu of Enki. And he says, "The Italian Vanguard episode, it's full of errors, but I don't have time to explain them all." Off to a great start. But one important thing to know is that in Italy, the card games are for kids, and kids can't read English, so they have to be translated. So that gives us a clue as to why Italy is doing this as opposed to just it being in the West, despite the fact that most of the people I meet playing Vanguard are in their teens or 20s. So that's the thing. Then after that, he goes, "We just got ECO3 that contains extra boosters 10, 11, and 12. So that's how they got their Shadow Paladin stuff. Before that, we got BT16 in English. That's why we still haven't gotten Risers or Metal Boards that came in 17. But
I see.
I also had another person saying that they have 17, so contradictory. For some reason, people don't like Genesis. That's why Yggdrasil is not very played. And then I can't remember who said it, but it was something about how they view Yggdrasil as like a less good Prominence player.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I always thought it was kind of seen as a faster, not, I guess, like more consistent Prominence player, but it's interesting that, I think maybe there's something I'm missing here.
Yeah. And then the last thing is he responded to our promos question because we weren't sure what they got and what they didn't. He said, because I asked him, "Do you think there were key cards missed in the Italian version that affected the meta?" He goes, "I don't think so. We got a lot of promos. There is a monthly league that gives a different promo every month. We have launch event promos and now box toppers. Right now we are all getting the Legion promos as fast as possible." So that was Legions for clans that never got supports in the main set.
Right.
And in that case, in the West, it was kind of at the end as like a footnote, almost.
Right. But they were, like, not irrelevant.
Some of them. But, like, just for a time, they were like, "All right, Legionnaires over, here's your shit, we're moving on." You know?
Well, I mean, the Dimension Police one is not nothing. Like, the Bermuda one's not nothing.
Great Nature one is not nothing. Love
So,
that.
like, the grade 2s from those were, like, pretty okay.
Yeah.
For,
And,
like,
and, they
Fox Dude.
and they carried a good part of early G era, which we'll see, hopefully, as time goes on. But we're here for something different. So, back in episode 97, which I only know because I had to look it up myself, person who edits the podcast, I had to look it up myself. Episode 97 was Front Trigger Fuckery, where we talked about how front triggers kind of weren't used because they were inferior to crits at the time. We went back and forth on the general consensus, but it seemed that our idea was that, like, no one's really going to use fronts. But now, here we are a year plus later, and there was a Nova Grappler card that got revealed that gave me the idea for this episode. So please welcome Fighting Fist Dragon, God Hand Dragon.
Oh boy.
Because Bushiroad knows how to name their cards. It's a 12k, grade 3 with that Excel gift. On Vanguard Circle, the power increase of front trigger effects revealed for your drive checks, get plus 10,000. So now it's plus 20k when you drive check a front. And then also on Vanguard, when it attacks, counterblast 1 and discard a card from your hand, and until the end of the battle, this unit gets drive plus 1, and if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit gets critical plus 1.
Well,
Pretty sweet.
that sounds fun as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never seen Bushiroad try and lean so hard into the, quote, worst trigger of their
I'm
set
not
of
even sure
four.
that was the case even before this, right?
Yeah.
Fronts have improved a lot, I think, since I first thought they were bad. I think now there's what Pale Moon plays how many fronts?
It depends on the build.
As many as they can.
Yeah.
The problem with fronts in the beginning was we just didn't have the cards to really take advantage of it.
Oh,
and
of course.
I was probably lower on fronts than I should have been, because I generally am lower on that kind of stuff than I typically should be. But I'm willing to say I was definitely mistaken with that. But yeah, I was just I already don't I was already so against stands. I didn't see fronts as substantially different, but I do think the power so they're only in Excel clans, so I guess there's not really anything to say after that. But it's pretty big to give a 40k trigger.
Yeah.
I think that's in general worth more than a crit.
Well, another thing we should note is I went back and listened to the episode just to make sure we don't repeat anything, and I guarantee you we're going to anyway because we're dumb. But we were, at the time, about to get Tachikaze. That was when we recorded the episode. So
we had 2 Excel clans?
Yeah, to put that in perspective, we had 2 Excel clans, a large variety of clans we didn't even know what kind of gifts they were. At the time, so I didn't know Great Nature was going to be Excel.
Yeah.
As an example. But also, that means that we didn't know how all of these clans would
shake out.
Yeah, shake out, how they would interact with front triggers. And it seems that as we get into this Wave 2, Wave 3 stuff, front triggers are starting to come into their own.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Root Beer.
I guess part of it was a lot of the early stuff we got also just didn't really play into Excel triggers very well, because the traditional Excel decks were really bad at the start. They just didn't have the resources needed to win. So Nova Grapplers was the weakest of the first 4 clans, and then Pale Moon didn't really do anything. Tachikaze was okay, but it also didn't play a traditional Excel deck where it attacked a lot. So I guess that was part of the reason why we were so down on front triggers, was just because the decks that could take advantage of it, which were the multi-attack ones, weren't doing very well, and then the one deck that does do well as an Excel clan didn't really need it because they didn't play a traditional Excel.
Yeah.
One big thing, too, and you kind of alluded to this with the decks not playing, Tachikaze not playing as a typical Excel deck, and, being able to, play longer, plus more than typical Excel decks. And that plus thing is actually, I think, the big key. I think the big thing that made front triggers a lot better than they were before is actually Excel 2. I think that not only have Excel clans gotten more powerful cards because they were very weak comparatively at the start up until Murakumo came out, but also Excel 2 means that they can fill those Excel circles more consistently and hence make front triggers better.
Yes.
And the clans that are playing lots of fronts, like Pale Moon, can also generate a bit of extra cards too.
Yeah.
So it makes pretty much you're always going to be able to fill those Excel circles and make front triggers as valuable as possible. If that makes sense.
No, that totally makes sense. Because at the time you had all right, it's Nova Grappler, which that doesn't draw too well at the time. And then you had Tachikaze, which had the ability to prosecute those Excel circles, but like we said, it just didn't behave as such. It was just kind of your force circle, but it's over there.
And then, the first wave of Pale Moon and Aqua Force were basically repeats of Nova Grappler.
Yep. I think Aqua Force had to run fronts because it kind of behaved.
Oh yeah, because like the Maelstrom deck was the only one that really did anything, and that one kind of needed fronts for the pressure.
Exactly. Now back to this dude. This is okay. So imagine if back in G era or whatever, you had a stride bonus that was like on stride, all of your stand triggers also add 1 extra critical to your rear guards. Like that would be kind of vomit inducing for sure. But that's kind of what this feels like, where they are actively taking the one that's, again, quote, the weakest, even though it's not so much anymore, and like leaning into it as a trigger.
Yeah. Because, like, the closest we ever got was, like, Ethics Bust in the olden days was Ethics Buster Extreme and Catastrophe. So, what both of those cards did was, like, if your drive check revealed a grade 1 or greater beast deity, then you can stand one of your rear guards. Yeah, one of your rear guards. And then what you would do is you would just play that alongside stand triggers. So if you got a stand trigger, you would just restand your rear guards, and if you didn't, you would still restand your rear guards. And that was like the closest we ever got to like leaning into that kind of thing.
Something catch 22. I mean, like, this doesn't make your non-triggers into triggers. It makes your triggers into double triggers. At the same time, though, it doesn't put that much pressure until you get to the later game, which is where that second skill comes in. Where if you're going first, the ability to like look for more triggers means that there's a higher chance of getting, a heal, a crit, a draw, whatever, assuming you run crits. And even after that, like by grade 3, you're just doing crit pressure every turn. So now your front triggers are, you're guarding with, a 15k shield, and I'm attacking with this dude. This isn't 2 to pass, it's 1 to pass.
Yeah.
So,
and then also, like, his support buddies also gain power when you drive check front trigger. Fusing Striker is a grade 2, so it gains 5,000, and then Starfighter Silver Fist also gains 5,000. And they also have secondary abilities, but that's not really too relevant to the conversation.
Right. So, like, guarding, 30k over or whatever is already kind of annoying. To make it a no pass. And now this is like, do that normally, please.
Yeah. And then it's like a triple drive, too. So, basically always PG the Vanguard.
Easy enough, right?
Well, easy enough, but you know what this... Okay, so Battledore Fighter was the original card that introduced you have to drop 2 or more cards at the same time to guard for Nova Grappler. Now this dude is basically doing Battledore Fighter in like a roundabout way. So instead of you have to put 2 cards down to guard, it's now my 1 card turns into 2 when I get it.
Yeah. Oh, also, they have a grade 1 that just lets you put a front trigger on top of your deck.
Are you fucking serious? They gave him a Tetramagus?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Bengal. So, it's a 7k, grade 1. Auto rear guards. When placed, you may reveal a front trigger from your hand and put it on top of your deck.
Doesn't even let you draw first. What a tragedy.
Gross.
I don't think it's going to matter, though. Yeah, this dude leads me to believe that they're going to do more stuff. Not just with front triggers, but like in general, like roundabout ways of making your triggers matter more. And the other way I think of that is Himiko, where you can artificially activate triggers. Yeah.
Although now that Genesis is playing more into the astral plane thing, I guess we'll have to see what other clans will end up doing that, because like we're not getting OTT support for a while.
Do we know?
I don't think we're getting any.
Nice.
That we know of so far, so...
I mean, you did just get stuff like a month ago.
Yeah.
That's true.
I guess the next one we might be able to look forward to is, like, the Great Nature stuff. Like, that might do something just because of their existing gimmick.
Oh, like milling triggers versus normal units?
Yeah. So, like, that's probably the next one that'll do something similar to this.
I will say, new Nova stuff already looks fun,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
and then it just looks more fun with the even newer shit.
Yeah.
Like, Nova's has been more and more more and more interesting looking as time has gone on.
Well, yeah, because they went from, like, boxy robots to dragons and stuff.
Well,
I mean, that's what they did.
They did that in the original. Yeah. But, like, mechanically, the Beast Deity stuff attacking right as you place them down, and then they have various ways to kind of stand them back up, so you have this really strong aggression, and now the manipulation of front triggers. Like, they have a common that can restand itself when you get it front trigger. They have the cards I mentioned before that just kind of gain the power and, God Hand Dragon.
Yeah. Another thing I noticed about this, like, recent round of the whole God Hand Dragon stuff is that it doesn't focus so much on restanding.
Mm-hmm.
Like Nova Grappler tended to do before this. So now we're getting this kind of anti-Nova Grappler.
I mean, I feel like it's playing into like what Victor did, which is like, it didn't attack quite as much, but the attacks were much bigger.
Yeah. So far, you don't have a lot of stuff that restands in direct support. You can always run older stuff.
Like I said, they have the one common that can restand itself.
Grit Bengal. Wait, no, that's not it.
Gain X2.
Gain X2. Those are very weird names.
Yes, it is.
I mean, that's basically like, you guys remember those old cards where it's like, when your drive check reveals a grade 3, you stand this unit.
Yeah?
Oh, I know lots of the cards that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Of drive checks revealing grade 3s.
Mm-hmm.
I just imagine you looking off into the distance while the Gundam theme song plays and you just see Daikaiser faded in the background while you hear explosions, and then me going, God fucking damn it, again. Easy. Do you guys think that they're going to do more with this in the future regarding, like, other triggers? Like, maybe there's stuff where it's like, when you, for new Batama.
I mean, they had the Aqua Force support with heal triggers, the Blue Wing stuff.
Yeah.
So that was really, like, the first time they did this.
Except this time is better because you can run more fronts.
Yeah.
You can only run 4 heals.
And also, they have an actual grade 3. Blue Wings just don't.
Not sure why they didn't. They just decided not to.
We are getting more Aqua Force support, so we might be able to look forward to that in the future.
I think it would be interesting if they, if they brought back Brant in a different way, too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god, please no.
Yeah. That would be
not?
kind of nuts. I never liked Brant to begin with. Yeah, there's a lot to be...
Front triggers now rest all of your rear guards.
Yeah, the grade 4 Brant makes front triggers just go to the back row instead.
Oh, right. It's like the same thing.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I choose gain X2, and then immediately restand him. Thanks, buddy.
I definitely was surprised. I just can't imagine. Like, I don't think when we were talking about this stuff before, we could have imagined something like Excel 2.
Yeah.
Being like, because back then, Excel Circle was just 10k to the unit on it. No, nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
You just got a new circle, gave 10k. Now it's like 5k and you draw a card. Is like absolutely insane.
I mean, negating your ride minus is already a strong skill. And this is also why Ezel is so strong as a deck, is because you can chain ride.
Mm-hmm.
And that's without using cards from your hand, so you're just straight plussing.
Yeah,
like a
absolutely
madman.
nuts.
Yep.
Yeah, you just dunk on your opponent. You're like, GG, dude.
Yes. And I can't really think of anything else to say about this, just because we don't have all of the support for Nova Grappler yet. Like, we don't know what else they could possibly do with this.
Well, I see Pale Moon decks running like 7 fronts, or I guess they just want to run 8, but you have to run a crit to like make your opponent respect it, which I understand completely.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because
so you want to show 1 crit at some point, right? Like even if you take it as damage, you're like, that's fine, because now your opponent's like, oh shit, they have crits.
Yep.
See,
so when
the mind
games,
games.
and you're attacking with Vanguard, they're like, oh, I guess I'm just gonna PG this.
See, I subscribe to the same philosophy, but at the same time, I don't think a vast majority of players really care.
Mm-hmm.
There's still it's still so baked into the player base that they're gonna guard it for, or they're gonna want to guard it for if they can, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like, I'm kind of curious. I want to, like, do a study. I'm not sure how you would get the funding for that, but I want to do a study with Vanguard players where those who started after the reboot versus those who have been playing for longer. How much of a fear of crits instilled in you do you have as a player, where if you're starting from the reboot, maybe you might be a little bit more attentive? A, because you're newer and are trying to learn more, and B, just you haven't gotten the, oh, 1 to pass, oh, I got a crit, cool, 2 damage. Or no guard at 4 and get punished.
I think if you, like, one to pass is such a, like, bonkers thing, because, like, it's so risky.
Yeah, like, that's
like,
something you do when you have no choice.
Yeah. Like, you want to pass, and you're just like, man, I hope they get nothing.
Yeah. That's the kind of thing where you, like, search through their damage, drop zone, and soul before you put your cards down.
And usually, there's no point to even do that, because you're forced to do it regardless.
Yeah.
I only do that...
Like, man,
No, go ahead.
You're like, man, I have exactly enough guard if they get no triggers, and I can only 1 to pass. And you, like, look through their damage drop zone or whatever and be like, I'm probably dead. And then you do it anyway.
Yep.
It's like, alright.
And then if we're playing against you, it works.
Wow, rude.
The worst feeling is doing that, and you're like, okay, if they get no triggers, I'll be fine. If they get a trigger, I might be able to miracle heal out of it, right? And then they get not only a trigger, but a crit trigger. So you're like, my hopes are not just dashed, but obliterated in a cataclysmic fire of yellow stars.
Yeah, and then if your name is Chris, you just double heal out of it, easy.
Yeah. Actually, come to think of it, so front triggers already kind of function as multiple cards. Mm-hmm. It's like however many front rear guards you have, it becomes an extra, quote, card for each thing. So, by that logic, God Hand over here doubles the amount of, quote, cards that you're getting in your drive check.
What do you mean doubles?
So if you're...
I guess he's trying to say, like, with the extra power gain, you're kind of forcing up extra cards out of their hands.
It's only if you get a stand or a front, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's not quite doubling. It's like, I don't know, a chance to double.
Mm-hmm.
Pseudo cards.
I mean, the real point is that God Hand's just gonna fucking Shrek some people.
Yeah?
How popular do you think this thing's gonna be?
I hope really popular. I just want to see everyone playing with the God Hand. Playing God Hand on a Friday night.
I love this guy's flavor text. The fist that knocks out even deities. Ragnarok Mega Knuckle.
Yeah, sounds like...
I don't even know what that means. It sounded like some word salad.
It's just generic anime attack, you know?
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Super ultra mega awesome prefix hyper combo, or whatever. Hashtag Gravity Falls.
Oh, I've not watched that show.
It's a very good show. You should watch
That's what people keep telling me, so I keep not watching it.
Yeah.
That sounds like a very Matt Barber thing to do.
It's like people telling me to play Undertale, but also I don't care, so I just don't.
Played Undertale. Also, doesn't Undertale have that same kind of, like, toxic Rick and Morty fan base?
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Nexus at Night, the Toxic Fan Base podcast.
It's hard to say. Like, I'm not here to talk about who may or may not be worse than somebody else.
Yeah.
But,
clearly the solution is to just put your opponent's rear guards into the damage zone.
That's what I do.
Oh, are we on the Angel Feather card now? I mean, we're gonna have to do this in the set review also.
Yeah.
That's true. What's Angel Feather? Not even sure what that is. Oh, something I am doing. Speaking, this is very tangentially related to fronts. Is I bought that Vanguard game on PS4.
Oh yeah, how's that going?
I don't know. It comes in Friday. I'll let you know. Maybe I'll stream it or something. Who knows? For 0 people.
We'll come join you.
X. But all right, I'll trust you.
I mean, message us if you're going to do it. Otherwise, I'm probably not paying attention.
I'll just message you all and post it on Twitter and see what happens. Also, I don't want to like overlap with anybody though, so we'll try to avoid that.
Why? Because both Living Proof and Different Fight are doing theirs.
Yeah,
Different Fight is killing it lately.
Right? But I don't know what plan I'm gonna play. Probably Dimension Police, because what else? I'm not even sure how the game works, so I'll have to figure that out first.
Yeah.
Also, I cannot read Japanese, so we're going to skip all of the text.
It's been established that this podcast can't read Japanese.
That's true.
I could probably try to learn at some point. I can just go to City College for free.
Whoa, that's effort.
I know, right?
Oh yeah, because California's doing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dude.
California, the only state with any kind of thing going on.
Yeah. Also, sooner or later, we're gonna have to go to Vanguard Zero again when it releases for real.
X. Will it ever even release? I'm not even sure that it will. A friend of mine asked about Cardfight Online like a few weeks ago. I had a good chuckle.
I mean, it honestly seems like
LOL.
It honestly seems like Bushura does this every year or so. They're like, this is our new thing. I think this is the first time we're actually seeing them kind of sort of follow through with it.
I think they're in too far to back out now.
Yeah, like they had a playable demo and all that crap.
Yeah, that's like a lot of effort.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna go the way of like Duel Links, right? Where everyone's just kind of like doesn't care about it for a really long time, and then somehow some people start caring about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the meta will become established, and people will have figured it out and made really mediocre careers out of it.
Well, I doubt anyone's gonna make a career out of it, but I don't even like Vanguard Zero is so wacky to me.
I know.
Like, all they had to do was put Vanguard on a phone game. That's literally
and they didn't do it.
And somehow, it didn't happen. It's like that thing that Hollywood did when they first started making superhero movies, where they would be like, they would take some superhero, like, what was one of the early ones?
Iron Man? Captain America?
I think we're talking like earlier
let's talk
than
like
that.
the X-Men.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
All they had to do was take the X-Men from the comic book and put them in a movie. That's literally all they had to do, right? But Hollywood's like, no, we can do this better. So we're gonna give them all these like same costumes that are like black for whatever reason, and like make them look completely different from the X-Men everybody knows.
Yeah.
Oh, and everyone's just like, but why?
I immediately thought of Fantastic Four, the longer this.
Oh man, that movie was really bad.
Yeah.
The X-Men movie was like at least passable.
Mm-hmm. And then they just kept making more and more and more.
There were like 2 Hulk movies that they tried twice, and both of them were horrible.
Yeah, and then like
and Catwoman.
Oh god,
movie that shouldn't have existed.
Didn't she win a golden? Didn't Halle Berry win a Razzie for that?
She did.
It's
There was also a Daredevil movie way back in the day.
That one wasn't awful. It wasn't great.
That
but
one was okay.
It was medium. It was very medium.
It's just like all you have to do is do. And if you look at the superhero movies now, they're sticking much more to like how they look in the comic books, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like imagine if they like took somebody like Doctor Strange, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just like made him like a normal guy who just like does magic somehow.
Yeah.
Everyone would just be really mad about it.
Or like if Iron Man's suit wasn't that signature, like red and gold.
Yeah, everyone would just be super. It would be super upsetting, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I like how they make a second Iron Man suit, and that one's black because they're like everything must be black for the big screen. We'll give you the red and gold suit, but we're going back to black.
The first Iron Man movie is like okay, and I think the last 2 are just both really bad.
I never actually saw anyone beside the first one.
I don't watch too many superhero movies anymore. I think that, like, I mentioned the last one I saw was Into the Spider-Verse. That is still true. But, man, I've seen some of the bad ones, like the first Captain America.
Yeah.
Or the first Thor. Holy shit.
And I guess also, like, to your point, like, DC is kind of doing that now, where they keep making weird decisions with their movies that to be all grim, dark, and edgy, and, like, nobody really wanted that.
Dude, DC movies look like you watching a movie with your sunglasses on.
Yeah. Nexus at Night, the movie podcast.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
it's happening.
It was. We remember the Sonic movie too, right?
Yeah.
Oh
People
yeah.
looked at it and were just like, who is this?
Yeah. And then they had to push back the release date because they're like, okay, we get it. You're pissed off.
It's literally Hollywood thinking if they can sell Sonic better than Nintendo. Or better than Sega, sorry. And it's just like, and Sega's been selling Sonic for how many years? And they're like, no, we're better.
And, like, even though Sega, since 2002 or something, they kind of suck at doing Sonic games, and they still sell okay.
Yeah. I mean, the people who buy Sonic games are always going to buy Sonic games.
Yeah.
It was kind of a small miracle that Detective Pikachu ended up pretty good.
I did not see that one, actually.
I think it's because Ryan Reynolds kind of threw his weight behind it. And it's not an amazing movie, but it's pretty good. And it was one of those movies you're like, fuck, I want to live here. Because it
was a Pokemon movie. That was all it needed to be.
And it wasn't bad. What?
The big question I have is what went down in like some boardroom that was like, we need to make a phone game for Vanguard, and everyone's like, okay, so we just want to put Vanguard on a phone, and they're like, no. We need a game like Vanguard on the phone. What? Why is this so much more complicated?
Yeah.
Well, because Vanguard
takes too long. Make it faster.
Yeah, that's actually almost probably exactly what went down.
Like,
you'd think
you don't know how to make a game that isn't 40 minutes long.
You'd think they would make a game where the people who already play your game want to do it on their phone.
You'd think.
Yeah. And especially in this age of, deep TV shows and character arcs, or people wanting, a rich video game experience. Don't give me none of this, people, we gotta be on the move. It's an on-the-go world. I'm 67.
Yeah.
And just, relax. People are playing this shit on the train or whatever. They're not going anywhere. I mean, on the train if you're in a city with good public transportation, RIP Los Angeles.
Whoa. There are cities with good public transportation in the U.S.?
I don't know, you tell me.
San Francisco has pretty good public transportation.
That's true, you got BART.
We've had some rich assholes have tried to kill it for 20 some odd years. Probably longer, actually.
In Annapolis?
No, everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're called the Koch brothers.
Eat a dick,
one of them has died
dead,
recently.
but fuck him. Yeah.
Good riddance.
Nexus at Night, the
Fuck Capitalism podcast.
Wow. But yeah, I just really wish they would just make Vanguard as a phone game instead of this fucking nonsense.
Me too.
I know I said this 5,000 times, and I'm just still my mind is still boggled.
Yeah.
I can't figure it out. I'm like, who makes these decisions and why?
Part of me thinks the dumbing down of Vanguard for this phone game is because of Excel circles.
What?
So Excel circles take up space, right?
Uh-huh.
So if you keep making more of them, blah blah blah, that takes up more of your phone screen. You can't play that shit in portrait mode. What?
But we're going back to ancient Vanguard from 2011. So
Italy?
they don't even have to worry about this for a few years.
I suppose.
I don't see why this is a problem.
I don't know. I don't know how we got all the way out here in the weeds from front triggers to Vanguard to communism to socialism to back to communism to movie reviews.
We're talking about Vanguard, bro.
To front trigger. We are the best at our jobs. And
what?
I am gonna have so much fun editing this episode, and you won't get to hear most of it.
Wow.
Is there anything we want to say more about front triggers or God Hand that we haven't said already?
Front triggers are much better now, and God Hand is sweet as fuck.
Yeah. I'd like to see more of Nova Grappler support just so we can get a full picture.
Which we will, and eventually we will review this set with the Nova Grappler in it. Likely in about 2 to 3 weeks or so. So, That'll be happening. All right, that was the best limping through a battlefield with your leg blown off episode I've ever had. Guys, where can people find you?
Find me on Twitter at Wiggums2Gs2Zs.
You can find me at Plasma Eclipse.
You can find me personally at Atlas Novak, or you can find this podcast on Twitter or Instagram at Nexus at Night, where we tweet memes and we reply to Dexander being like, "Oh my god, you guys, I can't beat Narukami as dual paladin." And we're like, "Nah, mate, it's on a knife's edge." And then things are said. Until next time, I'm Atlas.
I'm Matt.
I'm Root Beer.
And have a good night, everybody.